everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Jocelyn Bartolome and I'm an engineering student at the University of Alberta. Since we're all staying home and we probably have a bit more time on our hands, I wanted to share with you some of my favorite books. These books have had an incredible impact on my life, and they've completely changed the way I see things and the way I go about my days. I think it's really incredible that books can do that to a person, and I just wanted to share that with you guys. Just a little side note, I don't usually purchase my books. I either borrow them from the library, or I borrow them from friends, or they come as gifts. So that's why I don't have the physical copy of most of these books right now. Before we get started, be sure to leave a comment down below and let me know what your favorite books are. So the first book is called The Happiness Equation, and it's by Neil Pasricha. I really have no idea if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm probably not, but anyways, I read this book over the summer of 2019, and it's a really incredible book, and it talks about ways to become a happier person. There was one chapter in particular that I really enjoyed, and it talked about 7 simple habits that we can all do to become a happier person. These 7 habits were going for a walk, journaling, random acts of kindness, reducing your screen time, meditating, mindfulness, and practicing gratitude. What I really loved most about this book, and about this chapter in particular, is that these 7 habits are really simple to integrate into our lives. Especially right now when we're all social distancing, we have a lot of time to practice some healthy habits. And if we integrate these healthy habits into our lives, then we can become happier and healthier people during this time. The second book is called They Both Die at the End, and it's by Adam Silvera. I absolutely adore this book. So if you haven't heard of it, it's about a world in which you get a phone notification on the day that you're going to die. So there are 2 main characters, Rufus and Mateo, and they both get the phone notification on the same day. They meet through an app, and the story follows how both of them choose to live the last day of their lives. I'm 21 years old, and a lot of young adults don't really grapple with the idea of death. And in fact, I really don't think that anyone gives a lot of thought about it. Although we do have a limited amount of time on this planet, what I really like about this book is that it illustrates that young adults have a choice in how they choose to live their lives. In fact, all of us have a choice on what we want to spend our lives doing, and I think that's really important. We all get to choose how we spend our days, and I really love this book because it inspires me to be vulnerable and courageous, just as the main characters were on their last day. I also really love how this book was written. It was written so well that I could really picture it in my mind as if it were a movie. And in particular, the author was really good at transitioning between scenes. So even if 2 characters were not related, you can see how their lives affected each other based on the words that the author chose. If you want to read a really good fiction novel, I would highly recommend They Both Die at the End. The third book is called The 5 People You Meet in Heaven, and it's by Mitch Albom. My friend Jacqueline actually let me borrow her book a couple months ago, and I was really glad she did. What I love about swapping books with friends is that you kind of get a chance to learn about your friend in an indirect way. You get to learn what they like and what they don't like. You kind of get to know your friend as a person by reading what they enjoy. I think that's really cool about books, and I really do hope that you guys read these books as well. Like I said before, be sure to leave a comment below and let me know what you think. Anyways, this book is about a man named Eddie, and Eddie dies saving a little girl from a malfunctioning carnival ride. After Eddie dies, he goes to heaven and he meets 5 people, and those 5 people had a significant impact on his life, whether he knew it or not. So the 5 people you meet in heaven, as well as They Both Die at the End, both address some similar themes. They both talk about life on Earth and how we get to choose to live it. The 5 People You Meet in Heaven was written from the perspective of someone who has already died, and you get to join that character as he reflects on his own life. I really enjoyed reading this book, and overall it kind of gave me the chance to reflect on my own life. And perhaps my existentialism is showing here, but that's kind of the effect that books have on me as a person. The main takeaway for me is just to make sure that I let my loved ones know that they're loved. There is also a sequel to this book, and it's called The Next 5 People You Meet in Heaven. I would highly recommend reading both of them, but definitely read the first one, because I think it's just a little bit better than the sequel. The fourth book that I'd like to talk about is called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, and it's by Mark Manson. Let's be honest, we all give way too many fucks about everything. We worry about what other people will think of us, we worry about our grades, we worry about money, we worry about like our freaking shoelaces. But the main takeaway of this book is that we get to choose what is most important to us and sort of like assign our fucks to those things. So for me, what's most important is my health, my relationship with my friends and my family, and my personal growth. So that includes learning and my education. Those three things are what's really important to me, and those are the things that I choose to give a fuck about. Everything else really doesn't matter, and I'm trying my best not to be a perfectionist. I'm trying my best not to worry about what other people think. Just trying to live my most authentic life and just be happy. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck is a really quick and easy read. I would highly recommend it to someone who wants a book that is just straight to the point. And we all worry about our own things, but I hope that this book helps you narrow down and figure out what is really important to you, so then you can focus on what's most important and leave the rest behind. The fifth book I would like to talk about is called Surviving the Cure, and it's by Andrew Bundy. And this is one of the only paper copies that I have because it actually has completely changed everything. So I'll tell you the story about how I came across this book. I had a really, really, really amazing friend, and he passed away from leukemia at the age of 24. This happened fairly recently in the past couple months, and I went to his funeral service. And after the funeral service, I was talking to his sister, and his sister told me to read this book. It's because this book was on his shelf. This was a book that he read while he was still alive. And by reading this book, I feel emotionally connected to my friend, and I feel like he's still here. Like I said, the book is called Surviving the Cure by Andrew Bundy, and the author, Andrew, was actually a leukemia survivor. Andrew was diagnosed at the age of 18, and he wrote this book to share his experience going through cancer. And you can see on the book there's this little side note. It's called Surviving the Cure, Cancer Was Easy, relatively speaking, Living is Hard. The most important takeaway that I got from this book is that even if someone has finished their cancer treatment, they still have a lot of obstacles to face after their treatment. A lot of cancer patients during treatment and after treatment are faced with tremendous obstacles, and one of them being just an insane amount of trauma. People don't really realize that the trauma that comes with being diagnosed with cancer can last way longer than the cancer itself. What I also really enjoyed about this book is that it talks about cancer from the perspective of a young adult. A lot of young adults don't get diagnosed with cancer at the age of 18 or 20, but really, it can shake your worldview. If you face death that early on in your life, you could probably imagine how it would change you as a person. So my friend who passed away from leukemia was an incredible person, and he had such an amazing outlook on life. I really enjoyed my time with him because he reminded me that, life is short and that you have to really choose what to focus on and put your best efforts towards that and try not to worry about everything else. And if you noticed, with the 5 books that I've mentioned, all of the lessons from those 5 books were really tied together and summarized in this one. This book has completely changed my life, and of course my friend has changed my life, and I'm really glad that I have this book to remind myself of the friendship that I had with him. I would highly recommend this book to everyone. There are really no words to describe how amazing this book is. You're just going to have to read it for yourself. And if you want to read it, you can find it on Amazon, and I'll provide the link down in the description below. Cool, so those were the 5 books that have changed my life, but I do want to mention one more. This is a notable mention because I haven't finished reading it yet, and it's called Daring Greatly by Brené Brown. And this is also one of the only other physical books that I own. There were so many good reviews, so much hype about this book, and so much hype about Brené Brown, the author. The main topic of this book is that being vulnerable and being courageous go hand in hand. So if we are choosing to be vulnerable, then we are also being courageous and brave. I think those are really incredible things, and I'm trying to go forth in my life and be vulnerable and courageous. If you're interested, I created a short film called Lessons I've Learned in 21 Years. I created it for my 21st birthday back in November, and it basically summarizes my worldview after reading all of those books. I'll have a link to that video down in the description below, up here in the cards, and at the end of this video. So those were the 5 books that have changed my life. I think they're absolutely incredible, and I really do hope that you get the chance to read them. If you do, be sure to leave a comment down below to let me know what you think. If you're new to my videos, I usually post about engineering school and my personal projects. And if this sounds interesting, consider subscribing to my channel. You can also follow me on Instagram at JocelynBartolome_, and I'll provide the link to all those things down in the description below. Thanks again for watching this video. Be sure to give it a thumbs up. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.